Welcome to Two Bitches and a Broom podcast with your host, Charli and Krys. Okay, welcome to Two Bitches in a Broom podcast. Thank you for joining us here on episode 8, right?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Man, this week. Okay, so episode 8 of Two Bitches in a Broom podcast. Today's topic that we're going to dive into is divination tools and practices in all things divination. Play with the toys.
Yeah.
Play with the toys.
Yeah.
So,
what is your
I think,
favorite out of all of them? What is your favorite?
I really dug, what would I do? I would say I'm really lean into oracle cards a lot. I struggled with pendulum a lot. I don't know if it's just not for me, or I mean, I should take that. I take that back. In in session, like in a healing session, it serves me really well.
Right.
On point, super great. So much in fact that it's kind of funny when I teach Reiki and we teach the pendulum and how to utilize it in a healing session. Nobody can touch my pendulum. So if there's like a student who didn't bring one, we do makeshift one, homemade one. And if I say every time, never fails. If I say, oh, you can borrow mine, doesn't work. My pendulum, and then I'll touch it, and then it's like, boom, boom, boom. So I'm like, I guess I don't like sharing my stuff, so maybe that's why. Even though I'm like, yeah, you can use mine. I'm like, but you're touching my stuff.
Yeah, and your pendulum is like, no, we don't like you.
And yeah, my pendulum's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not working today. Sorry. So I think it's pretty funny when that happens. But so yeah, I really dig oracle cards. I use them in the beginning when I first started doing self practice. And I try to do pendulum for personal, but it really, again, and I think this is probably a good point when we get into, being unbiased with and not influencing stuff. That's where I was trying really hard to consciously step away and be unbiased. But I think subconsciously I'm just always fucking with the pendulum. So
right.
It just wasn't working out for me. So what about you? What's yours?
I like many things. I love all divination methods. I think they're all really, really fantastic. Like I do tea leaf reading. I love tea leaf.
Yeah, those are cool.
Actually, I do like where everybody gets a scoop of ice cream and it'll have like caramel sauce or chocolate sauce or strawberry sauce, whatever people want. And then whenever they're done, I will read their ice cream bowl. I will scry.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is scrying.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
It's a new take on tea leaf reading. It's essentially the same principle. It's just I'm using ice cream, and it's more, I think, relatable in this age. In England, it was tea, man. Tea was the thing.
Yeah.
But in this culture, people like tea, but not quite like they used to in England.
Yeah, not how it was before. Yeah.
But I guarantee you give somebody a scoop of ice cream, they're going to be like, yeah, sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You mean you want me to eat this bowl and you're going to scry it? No problem.
I also like to do an herb. I use herbs, and I will have that person, I put it all in a little bag, and I will have that person pour it like however much they want, little, a lot, whatever, on a plate, and then they put their hand in it, and then I scry that. So that's another one I do. And it's just, I like that kind of stuff. So palm reading, that's another, well, I don't know if that's really, so let me clarify what I believe divination is. Divination is kind of in the title. It's you are divining information that is either from the past or the future, and you are using tools in order to, actual tangible objects in how you are interpreting that information. So tarot that's my boo right there. I love tarot. Love tarot. I have tons of different tarots. I have lots of pendulums, as you can see. I have tons of those. I love it. I think it's really fun, but I have a very specific way in which I was trained with divination use. So I'm a big proponent on that. And I think it's just my field, because I'm very well aware of connecting with energies that are not for your highest and best good. So I'm huge person that is always saying connecting with the higher self while you're utilizing your divination methods is important. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating to me. Any form of divination, it's the way that it works, how you're intuiting that information and should be connecting with higher self and the divine and all of that stuff, And I think even with various forms, like the tea leaf, doing the herbs, throwing bones, doing the runes, doing oracle cards, tarot cards, how the same message can come across all various ways, right? I think that's the most fascinating part. I think everything is cool. I look into like, oh, what is that? And I love, like, with the tea leaf, watching people work and kind of looking at how they read it and how everything comes. It's just, I'm like a kid in a candy store when it comes to all the divination stuff. I'm like, man, that's so awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something that is so easily improperly used, I guess you would say, where it seems, I don't know if it's maybe just kind of the commercialized part of metaphysics.
Sure.
Where you just, people just grab and then, oh, I'm just going to pull cards. I'm just going to do this. But there's no setting in place.
I agree. I mean, you don't have to go far. You can go on social media and there's somebody doing a live that is taking questions, and it's like, no, yes, no, this, that. And I'm like, the fuck?
That's what I mean.
Not how it's done. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I come from a completely different background and understanding, and when you are attaining that information, it is there. When you have rapid fire, yes, no, maybe, yes, no, maybe, yes, that would take such an enormous amount of energy, and I think it's blatantly yeah, I would not feed too much into the validity of those responses. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. When I come across it, I look at it and I also think this is what makes me kind of have that opinion of it's just become so the commercialized
Oh,
and I think and I could very well just because I'm very structured and I have to have that foundation and kind of the setting in place. I see that kind of stuff and I'm just like, yeah, sometimes I've seen it and I'm looking in the screen and the scene of that and I'm like, that's not that's not good.
I
Um,
mean, that I'm not, dogging anybody's practice. Everybody
right. No, no, no.
their own.
Yeah.
I don't want it to seem like that. For me personally, that is not how I was trained or how I would approach it. I
Mm-hmm.
take my practice very seriously. My team works very hard to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that the accuracy of the information that is given. I could not, and if they are working with a spirit,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine the abuse that that spirit must go through to rapid fire information
Oh
in such
yeah.
a manner for an hour straight. I mean, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
guessing, when you're doing
Yeah, yeah.
mind, it's like, yes, no, maybe, yes, no, okay, this one, this one. And
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately would like tune into the question and I'm like, that is completely not true. And by the time
Mm-hmm.
I've grasped onto that answer, they've already done 3 or 4 more. And I'm like, there's no way the accuracy, and again, I'm basing this off of a one-time experience with me. And it could be, could be
Mm-hmm.
just a poor demonstration that I viewed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not very comfortable with like pointing out other people because I
But
don't want to be that person. I don't want to like point fingers or finger wag or anything like that. But I do honestly, I don't think it's talked about enough. I do think that there are individuals who do not have the highest and best good for everybody involved.
mm-hmm.
They're like, drop
Right.
a couple bucks into my account, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a rapid fire information, and I feel that it's very dubious. I do not feel
Mm-hmm.
that it's legitimately connecting with any higher information, and I do not feel that it is divine information. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't.
Well, I mean, that's kind of my point is I'm not, to each his own, live your life, do your fucking thing.
Yeah,
But it what I see and how I view, I guess basically everything is both sides of the coin. So if there are those who have training in place and have structure in place or learn, and they do it, you have to admit that there is the exact opposite as well. I mean, are we not in the realm of duality,
absolutely.
for both sides?
Mhm.
So, and I think I don't know if this is just me as a practitioner talking, just in my mindset of, maybe it's just the way I work too, where I think about the ripple effect out to the people I affect. I think about ethics. I think about, the responsibility of channeling information to
Absolutely.
the other person. That's what I kind of like look at. And I think if you are doing something like that, the rapid fire stuff, and um, you're just shooting it out, not really having that foundation in place.
Mhm.
So, and then it's for monetary gain or it's for popularity or whatever your reasons, where's the ethics in that? Again, the ripple effect that you have. And there are quite a few people who receive information and will take that and can explode with it. You know what I mean? It's so if you're just nonchalantly giving things out without considering that, I think that's something to
Yeah.
think about,
Yeah. I
you
agree.
know?
I agree. I think even having a seance is a form of divination.
Mhm.
You are divining information, even in a mediumistic capacity.
Mhm.
I feel like that
Mhm.
is definitely a demonstration. There's so many people that are gifted.
Mhm.
And in my experience, that they want so desperately to prove that they have the ability. Let me show
Mhm.
you how wonderful this is. I think they get so wrapped up into that the ego kind of steps in, and then it becomes fallacy after fallacy after fallacy to substantiate the once, very authentic practice that
Mhm. Mhm.
now they,
Yeah.
you know, uh, and there's been people that have been caught up in it. We can look at history. You don't have to go too far to see it.
Mhm.
But it's a very beautiful, magical practice, just as it is. You don't have to sprinkle anything on top of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think, well, that's a great point. And I think that's kind of the point of um, what was coming to me about this topic was how the ego plays the role in your divination practice.
Mhm.
If you are striving, and you're taking yourself out of it again for the need to prove your validity, your worth, that you actually have abilities. Um, that's where I think, you got to, I mean, maybe you got to take a few steps, pause and take a few steps back and readdress the ego and why you're doing it in the first place. Because who
Yeah.
are you really serving at the end of the day if you're like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to look far. And I know I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off that are watching this, but I mean, history, like just go back to history, the Fox sisters. They're
Mm-hmm.
very well known in the medium world. They're
Oh,
very
yes.
known. Were they gifted? Absolutely. I'm not saying they weren't gifted. Were they also doing things that were very dubious? And were they caught? Yes. And that's also
Yes.
well documented. And if I can say that I am a medium and I accept the medium practice, I also have to accept the fallacy that came
Mm-hmm.
trying to substantiate that practice.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm lying to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, what comes to mind the most prolific that comes to mind is Victoria Helen Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if you know this. I think it was in gosh, I believe it was in 1951, maybe. So in 1735, there was a Witchcraft Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there
Right.
was an
Yeah.
act
Mm-hmm.
that was in place. She was doing a seance. She was saying ectoplasm was forming, and that was the loved ones that were coming forward in a
Oh, yeah,
seance.
yeah, yeah. I'm horrible with names. I
Okay.
remember stories, but
Yeah.
names
Yeah. So
pass me by. Yes, I
in
know that.
like
I know that story.
in 1951, they changed it from the Witchcraft Act into the fraudulent, I believe it was called the Fraudulent Mediums Act. Um, and during that time, there was somebody that was viewing it. I don't know. He's unimportant to the story, but somebody
Mm-hmm.
was viewing it, and he had grabbed this ectoplasm, and it was cheesecloth, and it was a paper mache mask. And she got caught with her pants down. He called the police. She
Mm-hmm.
got arrested. There was a huge thing that was put out on display. It had dragged out for quite some time in the courts, and she ended up serving prison time for it. Now, was she a medium? Yes, she was. There was over 50 people that her attorney brought forward that said, yes, this is accurate.
That
This is
validated.
accurate.
Yeah.
She was validated time and time and time again. She really was good at being a good medium, but the ego stepped in and said, let me make this even grander, because she had to try to make herself stand out in a sea of mediums at that time. You got to think, this was, the war was going on. Everybody wanted to connect with their loved ones that had died. She had to stand out above everybody else, and that was the ego. So I think that's a perfect demonstration. And I promise, so whoever's listening to this, I believe you're listening to this because you need to hear it. You are perfect at what you do, just like you are. You don't have to put bells. You don't have to do whistles. You don't need to elaborate. You don't need to pretend, because it's magical, just like it is. Really, 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 truly is. And I know I'm kind of squirreling off of topic, but I think it's important. It's overlooked. It's not talked about. Nobody talks about this in our field. I think people in our field really want to just tout about all the wonderful, great things, and let me prove to you why. We need to talk about the people that really made it our job 10 times more difficult for people to accept. Because if those things never happened, I wouldn't have to work quite so hard at making people believe that what I do is indeed real.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point, and I think this is why it needs to be said. And whoever happens upon this episode, whether you're listening to it or watching it, if you're listening to this message, this is exactly it. You don't need the bells and whistles for proving yourself. And it's always those, I mean, genuinely in genuine intention, but again, the ego steps in of the need to prove and the need to show, that kind of makes everything go left. And those of us back here now are working to autocorrect and fix all of that. Really take it as, it's not, like I like to say, the few times I've been crossed with somebody who's like total skeptic, I'm not a circus sideshow. This isn't. I'm not part of Ringling Brothers. I don't do this just for shits and giggles. I have massive respect for God, for my team, for all that, and it's a lot of work, and I put a lot of work into shadow work, development, all of that stuff, addressing your own shit as you're going through the process. And this is not for entertainment. I don't have to prove myself to you. You're either going to take what I have to say or not. I don't know what else to tell you,
It's not an easy it's not an easy thing to recognize. I'm sure it was very challenging for those ladies, because in their mind they wanted so badly, I imagine, that they wanted so badly to prove that this is a legitimate.
Right. It's legit. Yeah.
And in their effort to prove legitimacy, they just proved that it was complete garbage. And it took twice as long. Like, spiritualism wasn't even recognized until 1954. It wasn't even recognized. Folks, 54 isn't that far away. I don't think anybody realizes.
It's a stone's throw backwards.
Yeah.
It is not far. Yeah.
And, in 2008, it was presented to like completely abolish this fraudulent mediums act. Okay. And they denied it. They want to keep it. So, I mean, like, just keep in mind, like, how crazy that is. We are, this is 2023. And instead of having a witchcraft act, now it's fraudulent media. I mean, they're just giving it a different name.
That's all it is.
I mean, it's the same thing. Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
It's just
not going to
adopting the
burn you
title.
at the stake, but we're going to throw you in a dungeon. We're not going to throw you in a dungeon. We're going to throw you in a jail cell.
It's still the same.
It's still the same.
And it's that genuine intention. I think then desperation comes in to prove, and then everything turned to shit. But you look at all of the beautiful elements that were already there. There was no need. And I truly feel there's more than enough people walking this earth that are going to cross your path.
Oh, yeah.
There's more than enough.
Yep.
And every person is going to attract those that they are intended to read, heal, assist, whatever,
Absolutely.
It's so staying out of that and just trusting in that, letting that happen. We don't fall into that desperation mode to prove yourself and have that happen. And I will say that I feel like too, that can be very challenging for some people to prove their abilities, especially when we talk about
I agree with
how one receives,
I agree
and the way marketing goes and the way people market themselves, and others who are still struggling find their confidence and their that another person and say, wow, they receive it this way, or they're seeing it this way, then I must be wrong or not gifted enough or something like that. And then again, the desperation to prove oneself. And I mean, we all know what happens when you allow that kind of energy to start to fester. People do all kinds of shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're just a psychic reader. I'm using that with quotes because that's still a really fabulous thing. If you're doing oracle reading, if you're doing tarot, if you're doing pendulum, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You are what makes that practice unique. Just you.
Yeah, just you. Not even the tools.
Exactly.
Just you. Take the tools away. Because just you.
It's taking you, your personality, your life experience, your brain, right? The way that you perceive things uniquely through the filter of your view of life. And that's what's going to make you stand out because you're unique. I'm different than Chris. Is different than the guy next door. We're all different. So that's your standout. That's what I encourage you to really see yourself. That's how I encourage people to view themselves. Look, you never ever see, a peacock looking at a squirrel going, damn, I wish I had fur. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have to be comparing ourselves to everybody else, because if we just focus on our practice and what we do, I promise you, you'll be like, man, this is great. I'm killing it, man. It's good.
Yes. I tell students that I'm like, when I tell some students we talk about divination tools and the various forms, and I am absolutely fascinated with everything. So I'm like, explore, look into things. But at the end of the day, they're simply just tools within your treasure chest that you can pull out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the one fabulous thing about it is when you secure your development, when you secure your foundation and you exercise all of your clairs, right? Because you just don't have one. You have all of them. So if you do all of that, you don't even need any of that stuff. Because again, like what you were saying, you and yourself and your divinity can receive everything that you need and do a whole reading without even touching a tool, because you are the ultimate tool.
Yeah.
In a nice way. I know tools used in a bad way, but this is a nice way.
And I think that's why people, like, if you've ever watched anybody, somebody who's not metaphysical at all, and hand them tarot cards and watch them, I mean, there's something about it within themselves that they can, you know, they're either super anxious and nervous and they're like, no, I can't do this. Or they're super interested. You know, there's two very visceral reactions. Yes. And when you have these reactions, it's usually because there's, you know, that higher self that's like, ooh, look, toys. You know, toys.
Well, your higher self and your soul is like, ooh, we've played with those before.
Yeah. Toys.
At least that's how mine is. Oh, we've touched that before. We've touched that before. And I think too, some people, for whatever, again, take this for whatever it means to you. When you first start out, if something is not resonating with you, maybe it's just not the time. Doesn't mean that you don't have it. Doesn't mean that it's not, it could circle back. But I've seen that, I myself have had that experience, and I've seen that with a few people too, where it was just something that I couldn't touch, something I couldn't get, I couldn't do, connect with, or whatever. And you still have the, I mean, like there's so many options with divination, so many things that you can do. Maybe at this time in your practice, it's your focus on another area. Sure. And then whatever it was that you couldn't connect with comes back around.
Sure.
I find that interesting, and I kind of go down the rabbit hole a little bit about maybe like soul's experience with certain divination tools, you know, past life stuff. Sure. My brain goes crazy when it's, I'm always like,
agree.
why?
I agree with
that. Why? Why?
I think when it comes like super easy and naturally to you, it's like, to me, that's like, oh yeah, the soul remembers that one. You know what I mean? When there's very little to no effort that's put into working with it, it's like, oh yeah, the soul is very, very familiar with that. Yes. So, like runes, throwing sticks, I'm trying to think, throwing bones, those they're very similar. And for people who are unfamiliar with that, it sounds exactly what it sounds like. So
the description's in the name.
Yeah. So sticks, throwing sticks, it's a Native American practice. There is a little sigil like that is burned into it. Typically it's used with Palo Santo sticks. And you would throw those sticks and you would have a reading once you describe each one of those sigils representing a certain, let's say, statement or theme on each one. It's the same way with runes, right? Runes are typically, well, originally they were made where it was burned into wood. Now you see them with stones and crystals and all kinds of,
you see them all kinds of ways now.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Throwing bones, a little bit different. So, but it sounds just like what it is, you know. It's different bones of different animals that represent different energies, which represent different things that are occurring in your life. So just so people are like, throwing bones, what the hell is that? Yeah, which again, it's a Native American practice. It's also practiced in Africa. I believe it's practiced in Oh, if I can think of it, Mexico. I'm sorry. My brain is doing
Yeah.
the recollection, which is kind of foggy this evening. I apologize. But I think it's Mexico. But I'm sure there's other places that even I am yet to become aware of. And I'm also hearing Brazil, so it might be also practice there as well. So just think about it. There's a ton of different ways that people take the same type of thing and they just modify it to their geographical location and their belief structure, and they say, okay, yeah, and this is my spin on it.
Yeah. Well, belief structure and then materials available at the time.
Absolutely.
So if you think about even like with the throwing bones, it can look a little intimidating when you see it, but if you think about back to creation of it and at that time, what else you utilize what you have, so you adopt it, just like how the development of tarot came to be, oracle cards, I also what's it called, channeling too, form of divination. So there's so many different things and so many different ways you can do it and tools, but at the end of the day, it's simply just an aid for your own divine connection and how you go about with your practice. And I think it's fantastic, even when you're in development.
Yeah, it's a way to bring out your inner sight, your inner knowledge, your intuition. It can be the head. I can literally read the head of a pen and use nothing but that, because this is just a representation. It's a focus point. It's a place where you take all of your attention, all of your awareness on this point to give information to that person. So whether it's scrying, a crystal ball, whatever it may be, I think there's the misnomer even with that. Like, you're looking at the ball and the ball is going to be like in the cartoon.
What is the ball telling you?
A scene, and that's not really it. It's
like a movie version.
Yeah.
Something's going to emerge.
Yeah. It's a point of focus, like my shaman mirror. I'm looking at the stuff I have all around my table. So like your shaman mirror, another scrying, a water bowl you can scry. There's so many different things that you can use, so many different implementations, regardless of what it is. They're all just tools to help you focus. And get in touch with your intuition. That's it.
It's like giving your ego something to focus on while you allow the subconscious to bloom and emerge. Really, it's So I think it's a great tool and an aid, but it's not the end all be all, and it's not something
you don't need any of this.
You don't need any of it.
Any of it. You have everything you need right with you right now without going on Amazon. You have it all in you. They're great. They're fabulous. I mean, I had a class, an in-person class, where I had everybody, and this was at a hall that I was doing this at. So I had everybody go outside, and I said, just pick up anything on the ground that you can see, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. And, people had like a bottle cap and a piece of glass and a leaf and a stick. And there was just all kinds of stuff. And I was just using that. Okay. What's the story here? So laid it all out. Right. And I was like, okay. And then I explained how I got that information from those items. It doesn't have to be anything, folks. It doesn't. It's a point of focus. I promise you. It's just a point of focus. They're cool. They're fun. I love rocks. I'm telling you, I am absolutely a stone head. I'm a stoner. I love crystals, gems, stones, all that stuff. So
Oh yeah.
I have a plethora of it. I do it because I like the energy. I do it because they make me happy. They bring joy to me. But make no mistake, I don't need that in order to deliver a message. I don't need
absolutely not.
to deliver a message or any other divination method. Just connect with your higher self and you're going to give some great information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tangible thing people like to look at and see, but that's as far as it goes. I mean, I had a reading once, and I didn't use anything. It was just straightforward. And the person across from me was like, I said all this stuff, and they're like, "Are you going to pull cards?" And I was like,
yeah,
I can if you want me to, sure. You know, if you want me to pull cards, sure. But they're like, yeah, all of that resonates. All of it makes sense. But are you going to pull some cards? So I was like, yeah, okay. You know, as long as you're, but it was just funny to me in that I don't know if it's just how it has become, like, again, commercialized and the need to see a tangible thing. But I just cracked up to myself afterwards of that session, because it really was, I just sat there, tuned in, had everything set, everyone set in place, and then just started reading. And it still was, oh, where's the card that goes with what you said? I'm just like, yeah, let me go pull it for you after the fact.
So
that's cool.
I learned tarot long after my shamanic rites of passage. I was doing mediumship. I was professionally practicing when I actually learned tarot. It was kind of humorous. I'm like, why do I need this? I remember asking that question, talking to my mentor in great detail, like, why? Why is this a thing? Why must there be like an object? You know, because I felt like I had worked for so long on myself. You know, to get to a place where I could actually utilize all my clairs and have them open and receptive, and I was hearing
everything's functioning.
And I'm like, yes, I'm at this great vibration. I've got all this. And then it was like, and tarot. I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean? you know, outside of self, these existential shit. Why do I need this? You know, and I actually did use this word. Why do I need props? That's what I said. Why do I need props? And my mentor said, because it will teach you much. It will teach you much and you will learn well from it. And I was like, oh, okay, I will. And my husband actually, which is ironic, but my husband was, somebody had already gifted me cards. I got rid of them a long time ago. And if you're watching, I'm so sorry. But somebody had gifted them to me and I was like, no, I don't want these. And then my husband had gifted them to me and I'm like, oh, I don't want these. And before I even touched, you know, actually to learn them, I had already received, like, different people kept giving them. I guess that was my sign. Hello, 500
the universe
feathers,
is like, Bishop, you don't take these damn cards.
Like 500 feathers. And the first time I touched them, I was like, this is so easy. This is so easy. Like, everything is right here. So even to this day, tarot readings are just super fun and easy. It's like breathing. Effortless. I love tarot. So I'm a huge geek with it. I'm a huge nerd. I love it though. It's super fun. But I think that there's things that also are overlooked when you're using divination methods, regardless. I need this sincerely. I don't care what you are doing. If you are intending to connect with spirit, in any fashion, there's things that you have to do to kind of prep yourself, prep your aura, prep your space for that communication. Because when you're opening up, everything and anything energetically around you is going to be attracted to you. So you should be doing some preparation. That's just my opinion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's actually perfect, because I can hear my guide talking about foundation and put it in. It really is. If you're going to utilize any divination tool, anything at all, you have to set yourself up. Well, I mean, you do what you want, you don't have to, but I highly encourage you to set yourself up to actually have that intention, have that team in place, connect with the higher self, so you can get valuable information and insight for yourself, whoever you're reading for. And really, I just think too, think about the quality of information that you're going to get. If you're just all willy-nilly, like the famous board that is out there.
Yes.
Fucking board, and it's just, it again, taken as a joke. But if you're throwing that door open, but you don't have these, and any divination tool, it doesn't matter, you're still throwing the door open. So
absolutely.
Are you going to be intentionally connecting, grounded, protected, your vibration, your space, everything is like set and good, so you can get quality guidance.
Yes.
Because I don't know, I just think if it's not, maybe this is just my brain and how it works, but if it's not quality guidance, you're wasting my time.
Yeah. And for the record, because I know you were just talking about the Ouija board, but for or Ouija, depending on where you're from, but to be completely transparent, there is no divination method that is bad, wrong, evil, or horrible.
Exactly.
There isn't. It is the practitioner and the energy and the intent that they are bringing to the practice. I just wanted to make that clarification, because I have really good friends who are fantastic practitioners who utilize a Ouija board, and they're very good at what they do. I personally find it very monotonous. I'm an instant, you know what? I am clairaudient for a reason, and that's because I want them information very quickly.
Yes.
I'm an impatient person, and God knew that created me.
Right?
So this, to me, it just seems so long. Like, I don't want to spend an hour getting 3 sentences. I'm not trying to be rude or dismissive. It's not my cup of tea. If it's yours, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy for you. It's just not mine. But it is about the practitioner. There can be very low energy, bottom feeding energy practitioners that do tarot. That, you know what I mean? It's in every, as above, so below, as below, so above, and everything. There is a polarity. So keep that in mind,
Oh, yeah. I use that example because it's the most common thing, and it's taken, I mean, we have Halloween coming up, and you go to any Halloween store and it's fucking there.
Yeah.
And it's taken as a joke, as a board game, as nothing, right? But
anybody
at the end of the day,
8 or up can use
8 or up.
Yeah.
8 or up. And every time I walk in there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go hide all of these in the back.
Yeah.
Less fuckery, less need to 911, me and you.
Absolutely.
It, at the end of the day, though, it is simply just a divination tool. And I've known of practitioners who utilize the Ouija board in development. Again, it's about the setting.
It is.
Everything is about the setting. Everything is about intention, who you're connecting to, your protection, like everything you have in place in your vibration. You can pick up this paper and pen and want to just do channeling, but not have anything set in place. And that lower vibrational feeder is going to be like, "Ooh, open
And I've seen it
opportunity."
happen.
Oh yeah.
I have attended many and held many seances, or what people would classify as a
Mm-hmm.
seance, right? And I have attended them where there is low energy, where, I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah. And that's definitely when I was in my development. There is a definite, there's no way you're not going to know. Every fiber in your being is gonna
Mm-hmm.
alert you. Yeah, this shit doesn't feel real good. You're not connecting with anything, that's definitely transition. This is not of the light, my friend.
Oh yeah.
You're connecting with a bunch of earthbounds and lower energies. So that can happen. It really can. So again, that's why it's important connecting with your deity, making sure that you are in the right frame of mind. How are you doing that day? Are you having a bad day? Because if you're having a
How's
bad
your mental
day,
mind?
why
Yep.
the fuck are you practicing today? Don't
Mm-hmm.
know. If you're having a bad day, stop, walk away, take a break, you know,
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. It's definitely not worth connecting with something that you're not
Mm-hmm.
really wanting to connect with. Because
Right.
what
I
we
think
throw
that's why.
out,
Oh yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, no, you're good. Yeah, that was like the excellent point. And it's your foundation. This is why development and understanding your foundation is so important and it matters. That is why we do development in knowing our energy, knowing our team, understanding yourself, your shadow, higher self, ego, all of this stuff. So when you do play with toys and you do get to dive into all the divination stuff and explore and have fun with it, you're setting that foundation in that space to get quality, connect with higher self, source, and quality information, quality guidance.
Yeah.
And you're not just throwing the door open to, whatever,
Yeah.
because that's a slippery slope.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Protection, connecting with your deity, and literally connecting with your higher self. Those are
Mm-hmm.
very important aspects. If you do that, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. But I mean, I don't care if you're like, hey, how is my day going to be today? Who are you directing that to? Are you asking
Yeah,
yourself? Are you asking randoms out there? What are you doing?
right.
Like, you should be doing that in every single one of your practices. I mean, that
Absolutely.
should be an automatic thing. You open your little peepers up in the morning, you're going to set your intention for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is. I
that's
think
what I teach
that's
my
what,
students, anyways.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to say the same thing. That's exactly why when I work with students, it is creating that before anything else, we create the foundation.
Yeah.
And it should be just like clockwork with you every day. Because I mean, lower energies don't take a day off.
No,
It just is what
they
it
don't.
is.
No, man.
They don't take a day off. So, you are open. So that comes with being open is
Absolutely.
like brushing your teeth. You hopefully you do that every day. And, just, I mean, it's your own self, but that's the example I give. Like, just like clockwork with how we program our own personal hygiene should be
Mhm.
your metaphysical hygiene, your spiritual hygiene should be automatic with everything. And does it seem time consuming in the beginning? Sure, you're creating new habits. Anything you're creating new takes work, but eventually it becomes like clockwork and it really saves you at the end of the day from getting into some
Yeah.
yucky shit. I mean,
And I'm actually hearing right now, for people who are watching, who are questioning, why do I need to do that? And
mm-hmm,
I don't just have to do it once. Why do I have to keep doing it? because we're human, unfortunately.
Mm,
And as human beings, what happens is we have to make it concrete in our mind, right?
mhm.
And over time, it will be. But until that happens, it won't. Because
Yep.
if you do it, let's say, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say for 2 weeks, you're doing it very consistently. And then one day you're like, oh, what's going to happen today? Is there going to be blah, 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 blah? And
Uh-huh.
you forget. And
Yep.
you may get some really negative feedback of negative things that are going to happen. You're feeding off of the negative information, and
Mhm.
you're kind of bringing that into your aura, your awareness, and now you're living in that energy. That's why. That's all.
Mhm.
I promise you, my cards, my tarot cards, I have a deck that I use just for myself. And don't get me wrong, it's not like
Mhm.
every time I read it, sunshine and rainbows are shooting out of my ass every
Oh,
day.
right,
That is
right.
not the case.
I
That is not
wish.
the case. Sometimes I've read those cards and it's like, that was rude,
I
but
know.
but at the same time, it's how I infer the information, right?
Mhm.
So I am inferring it that way. Spirit is never going to give you something horrible or negative. They're never going to talk to you that way. They're never going to give you information that way. I cannot say that enough. It is so important that you grasp that, because for somebody who's watching and they're saying, I keep getting negative feedback because that's what I'm hearing. So this is for
Mhm.
you that's watching this right now. If you are getting negative information when you are divining, when you are asking questions of any nature, honey, stop, recalibrate, stop, connect with your God, redirect that information to your God, and then listen. Because it's a completely different energy, and
Mhm.
push that other shit away out of your mind, out of your sphere of reality, because that
Oh, yeah.
that is not what you want. That is not what you want. So
I
I'm
always
sorry,
say,
I
like,
kind of
even when,
rabbit
oh,
trailed,
no,
but I'm hearing
no,
that
there, you're fine.
and I'm like, I need to say this.
Well, I mean, hey, there's a reason why this is the topic for today. And I mean, like we talked before, when we were talking about this, what we're going to talk about today,
Mhm.
this was on repeat of this needs to be said. This needs to
Yeah,
be said.
yeah,
I'm like, okay. But
yeah.
I tell people, even when spirit is giving you not the best news,
Mhm.
stuff, guidance, it's
Sure.
always in a constructive, loving way. I have
Yeah.
a tarot deck and an oracle deck I use just for myself. And yeah, like you, sometimes I'm like, dang, here we go with the tough love.
Oh yeah.
It's not in a, you can feel the vibrational difference
Sure.
with lower energy and truly connecting with spirit and your higher self.
Yeah.
And even when it is you're being hard-headed or you're just transmuting a lot, maybe you're going through a lot in your shadow and you're facing yourself, it's always in a constructive way, uplifting, constructive
Yeah.
way. It's not that at all, that
Yeah.
lower bullshit. It's not.
I had bought a deck of cards. So I was actually, well, a bunch of us were getting together, and it was a unicorn tarot deck. It was
Oh, yeah,
very
yeah.
blunt
I love that one.
and
Uh-huh.
funny, and I thought it was going to be super fun for us, right? But it is super, super blunt. It'll say things like, quit being a little crybaby bitch, like stuff like that.
Yeah. It's that
So
unicorn deck. Yeah.
yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. It's you got to have a sense of humor when you play it.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter had bought me because I was thinking, wow, because I was using it. It's like, okay, what about this? What about this? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
damn. My daughter had, out of the blue, bought me this beautiful gold edged gilded, wonderful, angelic deck. And I mean, you know me, I'm like tied and true Rider Waite gal. Like
Yes.
I love the deck.
Yeah.
So I've had it for like 30 years. I love my deck. So when she gave me that, I'm like, well, this is very interesting and so not something that I would normally reach for. Not that I don't love working with the angels. It's just not deck of
Yeah.
choice. And I'm telling you, every time I read from it, it's so light and airy. And it's always so positive. So it's a great deck when I don't want to be butthurt. Like if I'm feeling a little sensitive, yeah, I'm gonna use that deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's like, okay, give it to me, but give it to me in a nicer way. I'm gonna
yeah,
just like sprinkle it on me.
yeah.
And the other one's like, bam, in your face.
But what I'm demonstrating is it's our how we are getting in touch with our own intuition, right? So my brain knows when I'm looking at the unicorn deck, you're being blunt and to the point, and no punches are pulled. And when I'm using the angelic deck, my brain goes, oh, she can't be butthurt today. They're there. You know what I mean?
Sorrows.
Yeah, sorrows.
Oh God.
So I mean, it's really our perspective from our own intuition. That's what we're gaining. That's where we're gaining all that information. So
yeah. I like, foundation, your protection, your intention, and your connection when you're using any divination tool. Again, you're setting the scene, you're setting yourself. You can't go wrong when you have those. Just, take 2 minutes, do the things, and then go off and do whatever you're going to do with whatever tools you're going to do. I like, even I have some I have students do this with development and utilizing their decks. So I pull like cards for the week when they have a deck that they're becoming familiar with, or like even oracle deck. So when we're journaling and we're working through your shadow and your development and all of that stuff, so you pull, your card for the week, and you let your intuition speak to you in how the message, obviously, like the message and whatever it is, but you also tune in and pull other layers and elements that you're getting from yourself. So using that even in development for yourself, I don't know if somebody needs this tip or what, but I don't know why I'm saying this, but using, I don't know why this is coming out, but using your oracle deck or your tarot deck to get to know, I think it's fascinating because when you look at it, you pull that card, you use it I have people use it as a bookmarker. So they use it as a bookmarker, and as they go through their week, they reference back to that card and see how that plays out. What guidance are you getting? How is that relating to your week? Because everything means something. You can pull intuitively from everything in that oracle card. Colors, the imagery, the feeling that you're getting, not just the message that's written, but there's so many things. And that's a good practice of allowing your intuition to flow.
When I teach tarot, that's one of the things that it is pulling that card out. I even recommend they sleep with the card so they will have a dream relating to that card. And it's fantastic. I remember when I first started out, though, boy, I put all the cards and I slept with all the cards. I
was going to say, you unlocked a memory because I would shove it in my pillowcase. and then, oh gosh, don't even get me started on crystals. Like, I'm sleeping on rocks basically because I'm just oh, this is good for you. This is good. Yeah. And I need to go to Crystals Anonymous.
Yeah, it was crazy. I put the whole deck. Do not do that. Whoever,
not the whole deck.
Do not trust me when I tell you, do not do that. I mean, it was the most wild Yeah, but I'm very choosy with cards. If I want to also, just like last week, we were talking about embracing the animal energy. If I want to bring abundance and joy and happiness, and I'm working on manifestation, I'm going to pull out a card that represents that. Like, I don't know, the Nine of Cups,
Yes,
pull that out, and I'm going to set that right where I'm working. I'm going to carry that with me. I'm going to put that in my purse. I'm going to remind myself all the time that that's what I'm working towards. I'm going to grasp that energy. And that's another great way. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. So many different things that you can do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great physical representations. And I even tell people this with working with crystals. The energy, absolutely. You connect with the energy, you work with that energy, but even just like bracelets, that it's also a physical reminder of that intention.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't just have this stone and be like, fix me.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You have to do the work, but it's also, you're connecting with that energy and working with it, but you're also having that mindfulness that's constant going, like with the cards of like the Ace of Pentacles, having that. I used to put that in my wallet.
Yeah.
And it is working with that energy and having that awareness always in front of your mind.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to keep emitting out. This is what I want to bring in. This is the energy that I'm working with,
I had
so many great ways.
So many different clients that were having trouble with cutting cords to negative relationships. And I had them carry a very specific stone, and I had her carry it in her bra, this one individual. And she was like, it is wholly uncomfortable. How do you handle that? And I'm like, that's fantastic, because you'll never forget it's there, and it will constantly be on your mind, and you will not allow yourself to reconnect to that energy. And it works. It works. It's a very physical representation that you can't ignore, that you can't forget.
Yep.
So
absolutely. So I think working, divination tools, great. Crystals, fantastic. All wonderful things that aid us in our practice, in our personal development, in a professional setting as practitioners. When you go about it and set yourself, I get like set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Right. So set yourself up for success. Have a foundation, understand your energy, protection, intention, connecting with your deity and your intention. Get quality information. I think you can't go wrong. I mean, you can't.
And vibration.
And you find, vibration. Yeah.
Vibration.
Final thoughts?
I'm killer on that. Like, vibrate. How's your mind doing? You feeling good today? You need some time to get that up and going before you practice. Contemplate that. Don't dive in. If you're crybaby poop my pants today, that's what I call it. If you're feeling crybaby poop my pants, then you probably shouldn't be doing any divination work. You need to work on that before you start to grab a card or grab your divining device. Because how effective are you going to connect to your higher self if you are so in the dumps? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just something to contemplate and consider. That's my final thought. That's really what I think. I rabbit hole for this episode. I hope you don't mind. I was just kind of here.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's gonna flow how it's gonna flow. I mean, that's how our conversations go anyway. So
yeah, pretty much.
It's one thing to another, and then and circle back, and eventually we land.
Yeah.
Eventually we land. We always land.
Yeah.
So I think that is a great reminder to end on with the topic of divination tools. Really, I mean,
I'm
in the
sure
famous
we'll
words
do
of,
future episodes where
oh,
we
yes, yes, yes.
concentrate on like one at a time and go further into detail, but this is just a skim over. And I know that, Halloween is coming up.
Mm,
That's when everybody likes to really explore new tools. So just a friendly reminder,
yeah, exactly. Explore new tools. The veil is thin. Let the fuckery commence. Like all of the things. Oh my gosh. So, all right. I think we'll wrap this up. Thank you for listening, watching, all of the stuff. Like, subscribe, share, leave us a comments, share your stories. What divination tools do you enjoy? Is there something that is not talked about, or a divination tool that is not so popular that you do? Like, let
yes,
us know.
yes.
We appreciate your time, and yeah,
And
I
I'm
think
so
we're,
excited because we have like a lot of subscriber. Well, to me, it's a lot. I was like, who's gonna watch? There's gonna be like 3 people, maybe.
I know.
So I'm really excited that we have quite a few subscribers and people who
Hmm.
are watching. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to
Yes,
listen to us. And I hope that you're finding this beneficial. And I appreciate it. So yeah.
absolutely. Yes. I've got a lot of um, great comments and things about us, and I'm just like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got something
Yeah.
from it, because
Thank you.
again, we bounce and bounce and then eventually we land.
Yeah.
So yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
And I think
guys.
we're
Until
good.
next time.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.